And for that matter, let's give some extra tzedakah, and as I will explain soon, together with our prayers for safety, security, well-being of all our dear brothers and sisters anywhere in the world, and obviously for the imminent redemption with Mashiach. As I just said, let's give some extra tzedakah, and the reason is because today is the 25th day of the month of Adar, which is the Rebbetzin Chaim Mushke's 123rd birthday. Yes, we continue counting birthdays even after the person's passing physically from this world. In 1988, shortly after the Rebbetzins passing, the Rebbe launched what is called the Miftzah Yom Haledes, the birthday campaign. And as I said, this is a great schus. He does this in honor and in the merit of the Rebbetzin. The Rebbe explained at length the importance of celebrating one's Hebrew birthday. He made a number of points, and I want to share a few of them. First and foremost, a birthday is a day to feel grateful. It's a day for parents to be grateful to God for the precious gift He granted them. A day for the Jewish nation to be grateful for the addition of a new member of the nation family. And of course, it is a day for the birthday celebrant to express gratitude to God for the gift of life. Because we realize when a person is born not here by accident, it's because God knows there's a specific mission that this individual can accomplish that nobody else can. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. So that's a day when one is given the mandate to change the world. Yes, change the entire world. The day when God entrusted us with a mission to challenge a world that is hostile to spirituality and transform it into God's private domain. And in accomplishing this goal, everyone is given the ability to achieve incredible spiritual heights. Heights unimaginable to the soul before it was dispatched from its lofty heavenly abode to inhabit a physical body. It's also a day that we demonstrate confidence. Confidence that one is and will continue to be worthy of God's trust. No matter the obstacles, one will preserve and live up to God's expectations. Time is like a spiral. Annually, on the anniversary of any momentous event, we have the ability to tap into the same spiritual energy that originally caused that event. As we know, the whole concept of Jewish holidays. We're going to celebrate Purim because so long ago the story of Purim happened. But Yomim Elu Niskarim Benasim, the energy is present on that particular day. So the same thing is with a person's birthday. When, as we said before, when the person is born, God invested within the person a soul abounding with talents and qualities. And the muzzle was shining and at full strength. The same energy is present every year on the anniversary. So on this day, one has the ability to accomplish that which would perhaps be very difficult on any other day. Take an example, Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah is so special. Why? Because it is the birthday of humankind. It is the day when Adam and Eve were created. So the person's birthday is like a personal Rosh Hashanah that we must utilize. How? So here are some suggestions the Rebbe made. First of all, it's a day to contemplate quietly what have I accomplished, where have I failed, what can I improve. It's also a day to take on a new mitzvah, something that we haven't done or not done carefully enough to make a commitment to better in that. As I mentioned earlier, give some extra charity, in fact twice a day, in the morning and the afternoon. If the birthday comes on Shabbat that we cannot give charity, we got to do it the day before. It's a day to spend more time on prayer, to study some extra Torah, and also to start saying the new chapter of Tehillim, as the Baal Shem Tov has established that we should say every day the psalm corresponding to our age, assuming we're at the age of 18, we say the 19th psalm, and so on. We keep on going. Finally, the Rebbe says also we should have a gathering, a Verbrengen, together with other people to wish each other blessings, and at that time to announce the commitment that we made. So a commitment which is made in public, there's a better chance for it to be kept. Also, find the new food that you haven't eaten yet to say the special blessing Shechiyanu. Now, if you don't know when your Jewish birthday is, go on the website Chabad, CHABAD.org, look up birthday converter, and you will find your date.
It is really that simple. I know. Who knew it was that simple? All right. That leaves us time for Tehillim. We're moving on. Okay. Oh my goodness. I'm just so happy. Tehillim chapters 23 and 122.
Adonai ro'i lo echsar binos teshe yarbitzeni al memnuchos yinahaleni nafshi shovev yancheni v'magle tzedek leman shemo kam kilech begetz al moves oirara ki ata imadi shivtecha umishantecha hema yenachamuni taroch lefanai shulchan neged tzorrai tishanta vashemen roshi kosi revaya ach tov v'chesed yirdefuni kol yemei chayai v'shavti b'vis Adonai le'orech yamim.
Shamala Yisrael v'samachti v'yim nimli v'salina yinei oyim and oisayu ragleinu v'sharayich Yerushalayim Yerushalayim Hallelujah Ki'ish echur ala yachdav sheshamu shatim shiftei ha'edus l'Yisrael lehoyidayis l'shayim aleinu Shama Yashivu Chizais V'Mishvat Kisais Levayis David Shalu Shalayim Yerushalayim Yishvayu Oyhavayich Ahai Yishalayim Michayleich Shava V'yayim V'nayisayich Ahai
We are doing Tanya right now, and I know you love it, so let's get right into it.
Tanya thoughts for the 26th of Adar. So, to that frustrated Nefesh Elokis, we say, cheer up, little guy. Don't be annoyed with your Nefesh HaBahamis, as gruff as it is. You're here to refine it, so don't resent it, embrace it. The Nefesh Elokis, you don't need any tikkun, any reordering, but you can benefit greatly from the process. It will make you better, stronger, closer to Hashem. The harder your assignment, the gruffer your animal soul, the greater your service, the more you do for Hashem.
Let's talk Tanya for the 26th day of the first Adar. So we're middle of chapter 32 of Tanya. It's a short chapter, and nevertheless, this year it's divided into 6 little segments. I guess the Frierdiker Rebbe, when he divided Tanya, thought it was very important for us to really marinate and soak in this perek and spend a lot of time learning it. So the last 3 days we've been talking about the mitzvah to love every single other Jewish person and how to go about doing that. But the question is, do I need to love every single Jew? How about that despicable person, that horrible person who has done terrible things? Do I have to love that person also? So actually, if you look in the Gemara, the Talmud tells us that absolutely, sometimes not only do we have a right to hate another Jewish person, we have an obligation to do so. The background of this is, there's a pasuk in the Torah, there's a verse that says, Kisira chamer senacha revetz tachas masoi, which means that if you see the donkey of your enemy, and it is slouched, and it is under its burden, and it can't get up. So there's a mitzvah that you have to help the person who owns the donkey. You have to help him unload the donkey and then reload the donkey properly. And the Gemara says, what does that mean? You see the donkey of your enemy. It seems like the Torah is condoning a person having an enemy. In other words, yes, this donkey belongs to your enemy, and nevertheless, you should help him. 1 second, the Torah should say, you see the donkey of your enemy? Whoa, what's that all about? You're not allowed to have an enemy. Love that person. Don't hate him. But the Torah doesn't say it. It seems almost as if the Torah is saying, that's fine. And the Gemara says, yes. Someone who sees that their colleague has sinned, the Gemara tells us, mitzvah l'snoisei, it is a mitzvah to hate that person. It's a mitzvah to despise your colleague. And the Gemara takes it even further. That you should also, let's say you're a student in the yeshiva, and you see that your colleague has sinned. It's not enough that you should hate your colleague. You have to go to your teacher, your mutual teacher, and say, hello, my dear Rebbe, I know that, this colleague that I have, you probably think that he's a upstanding and great student. I want you to know, I saw yesterday that he sinned, and you should also hate him. So we're seeing over here a license to hate, and how do you reconcile that with the whole larger idea of Avos Yisrael? So this is going to take us today and tomorrow and the day after to fully understand this topic. But the first thing that the Rebbe is going to say, yes, there is a time and a place to hate another Jewish person, but 2 requirements have to be fulfilled in order to be able to hate another person, or in order to have that mitzvah to hate another person. Requirement number 1 is, if you look in the wording of the Gemara says, Hareya bechaveri shechata. If I see that my colleague has sinned, requirement number 1, the person has to be my colleague, meaning has to be my peer in the area of Torah and mitzvahs. The person has to be on my spiritual level or higher than me. But if a person is on a lower spiritual level than me, less learned, less knowledgeable, less spiritually sensitive, then I do not hate that person. That is requirement number 1. What is the reason for this requirement? And what is the second requirement? And why should I hate my colleague? And what should be my attitude if I see someone who does a sin and he's not my colleague? All of this will be answered in tomorrow's Tanya.
For joining Tanya in 5, today's lesson for the 26th of Adar. We continue in chapter 37 in 1. This is the darkest and most removed of all the spiritual and, of course, the only physical world. And therefore, our purpose is to transform that darkness into light, to bring the ultimate light of God in the times of Mashiach. Now, as a result that this physical world is so important, because it is in this world that a soul comes into this world and has its portion allotted to it, its material lot, whatever is part of your physical material world is there because, and there is the transformation through the actions of the individual with dealing with that material portion of your world to transform its natural state of being vitalized through klipas noiga, through the a unholy force, and how to use it in a holy manner, and therefore transforming it into a holy vehicle for godliness. And when we do that with everything, ultimately we do bring the final redemption. Now, the Alter Rebbe says that each spark that descends into this world, each spark of a soul, because we are 1/600,000th of one of a particular branch, shall we say, of a certain type of soul that comes and has its duty to fulfill in this world. It is a profound descent for our soul to come into this world. It's a real exile. Even someone who is a perfectly righteous individual, who serves God with fear and great love of delights, nonetheless this righteous person cannot attain a love of God as that soul had before it came into this world. Not even a fraction of it. It's not possible. Why? Because our soul now is embodied, is enclosed in a body, and therefore because of the body it cannot endure that sublime light that it had before it came down into this world, and therefore the love and awe of God is not the same. Nevertheless, each spark, each soul that descends into this world is clothed into a body, into a vital soul. Why? Not for the sake of the soul, but for the sake of the vital soul and the body, in order to fix it, to separate it from the evil of the three complete impure klippas. How do we do that? By observing the 365 prohibitions of the Torah, and of course their offshoots. And at the same time, we also have to elevate the vital/animal soul together with the body and its portion of the world. And we do that to unite with God, and we do that through the 248 positive commandments of the Torah. And how do we fulfill those positive commandments of speaking words of Torah as we're doing now, using the physical world of taking a coin, giving to charity, wrapping yourself with a pair of tefillin? Of course, it's only by the agency of the vital soul that is giving vitality to the physical body that we are able to fulfill all of those mitzvahs in action. So hence the soul is coming down, the divine soul that is coming down into this world not for its own need, because it has greater love and awe of God before it came into this world, but the soul doesn't need fixing, does not need tikkun, as the Eitz Chaim explains, doesn't need mending. It only needs to come into the physical body in order to mend the vital animal soul and the body, to bring light into it, to fix it, in order that it should be transformed from its darkness into light. And this is exactly similar to the esoteric concept of the exile of the Shekhinah, of the divine presence of God. The purpose of the divine presence to go into exile is that their sparks are found in separating the spark from the holiness from its negativity. We elevate it, we extract it and elevate it and fulfill its divine purpose. And with that, we have now an understanding why our divine soul comes here. It's only to mend the vital soul, the body, and to fix this world, to bring it to its ultimate purpose of the Messianic era. And that is Tanya in 5. Thank you for joining.
How about that? We did it. And that takes us to Sefer HaMitzvahs of the Rambam.
No, it's not impossible that Rebbe did say, just study it.
Of our daily study of Rambam Sefer Mitzvahs. And in the 3 chapters a day study track of Mishnah Torah, we have started Sefer Shoftim, the 14th of the 14 books of Mishnah Torah. We're in the first section of that book, which is Hilchos Sanhedrin, laws of the High Court, and the punishments that were given to them to administer, chapters 16, 17, and 18. 5 mitzvahs, all prohibitions, all negative commandments. Negative 279. Negative 279 is the prohibition against having pity on a murderer, or even not a murderer, but somebody who caused bodily damage, bodily harm. This is a prohibition that is directed toward a judge, that they're not allowed to say, maybe I can take it easy on this person, especially, let's say it was unintentional, and why do we really have to make a big deal out of this, and let's just sort of let it slide. No. even if there are extenuating circumstances that make the person's situation pitiful, it is not permissible to avoid carrying out whatever Torah dictates is the just verdict. Okay. Negative 277 is the prohibition against favoring a poor litigant. A guy comes to court and he's poor, and you think to yourself, you're the judge, and you say, I don't really think he's got a case, but, what I'll do is I'll rule in his favor, even though I don't think really the facts dictate that I should, and that way he'll win this court case, and he'll have an honorable living from that instead of being, a beggar or whatever it is that he is. You're not allowed to do that. You have to rule according to the facts and the way that Torah tells us to deal with those facts. Okay, and we've been learning the very rigorous system of Torah law, especially in the past couple of books, in Sefer Shoftim, Sefer Mishpatim. There are rules how things have to be done. So you feel compassion? Yeah, you can feel compassion, but you're not allowed to distort justice because you feel bad for one of the litigants. All right. Negative commandment 275 is against favoring an important person. Let's say there's a prestigious guy, a well-known person, a celebrity, a scholar. In the Torah world, a scholar, that's the most prestigious person there could be. And what you do is you show him favoritism in court. Not that necessarily you're going to make the ruling come out in his favor, but just, you give him a little extra honor, like we call it kavod. You give him a little extra kavod in court. What happens, that's totally prohibited. What happens is it makes the other guy feel like chopped liver, and he's not able to present himself properly. He can't really articulate his case properly. You're not allowed to do that. Everybody has to be treated the same. There are no favorites, no favoritism. Everyone has to be given the same treatment. Okay. I should mention also, included in this prohibition is the prohibition against failing to rule against this person. The scenario would be like the judge would say, you know what, it would be embarrassing for him to lose a court case, even though I know really he owes the other guy the money. What I'll do is I'll rule in his favor, and then outside I'll go tell him, by the way, really, you lost. So just, on the side, give him the money because you were supposed to give him. We don't do that. We don't do little side room deals. If you're a judge, you have to rule the way that Torah says to rule. It doesn't matter who the litigants are. Negative 278 is condemning a litigant who is known to be a wicked person. Let's say there's a guy who has a reputation of being a sinner, and he comes to court, and his counter-claimant is a guy who's not a sinner, or maybe even is known as a very upright, moral person. You're not allowed to say, oh, well, I know who's guilty in this case. Of course, it's that sinner. You have to judge each case based on its merits. You cannot come to a conclusion based on the character or the reputation of the litigants. Okay. And finally, negative 273 is the general prohibition against being unrighteous in judgment. It is prohibited for a judge to distort justice or deviate from Torah law in any way. That is a prohibition. You have to rule the way the Torah says to rule. Don't play games, even if you have some compelling reason why you feel like different scenarios where your heart goes out to a certain person or a certain scenario. It's all well and good, but the law is the law. If you're a judge, you have to rule according to the law. Okay, those are our mitzvahs for today. We'll see you for more tomorrow, God willing.
Welcome to installment number 318 of the mitzvahs as enumerated by Maimonides, the Rambam. Today we are continuing to talk about various situations that can take place in the Jewish high courts and how they should be judged. more specifically how a judge should comport himself in a court of law. So we have 5 mitzvahs today, all pertaining to various judgments. For starters, we have Negative Commandment 279, that a judge cannot have pity on somebody who killed or maimed a person and say, oh, well, you know, he's so poor and he can't afford it to pay for this person, to pay for the damage that he caused, or you know, why should he necessarily get capital punishment if he, you know, have pity for whatever reason, one person and not